have your seat. Good morning, church.
Good morning, sir.
I don't know how long I have here, but yes, I don't know what the time is, but I said I don't know how long you're going to give me.
No, that's
Oh, that's what is there, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay, so that's fine. So my time starts
now.
All right, so if I ask, how many of you are not well here this morning? How many are not well? Let me just tell a minute. I can see 2 hands. Yeah. I can see 2 hands that are not well. So, oh, 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2, 3. It's just about 3 that are not well this morning. So I assume all of you are well. Well, that's an assumption. That's an assumption that you are all well. So at the end of the day, we'll discover whether you are well or not well. I'm not going to tell you. It's you that will decide yourself and say, oh, you know, I said I'm not well. So the fact that you wake up this morning, no headache, you're able to pull your legs and your hands and everything together, does that mean you're well? Alright? So, I'm going to talk this morning about mental health, and I observe that this is mostly a youth congregation, and obviously there are a whole lot of challenges the youth face, especially in Nigeria, and I can tell you that most of you are not well. That might be my assumption, but I tell you so. At the end of the day, you discover it by yourself. Alright, so what's the definition of health in the first place? If you say, what is health? If you say you are healthy, what does it take into consideration? The fact, like I said before, the fact that you jump up, you can talk, you can do your work from morning till evening without getting tired, that doesn't make you well. So let's look at the definition of health according to the World Health Organization. Health is the state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being. Take note of that. Complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. So the fact that most of us are concentrating on just the physical wellness, but for you to be whole, the mental aspect of your wellness, the social aspect of your wellness also has to be complete. So if I ask the question again, even without giving explanation to what mental and social well-being is, if I ask the question again, how many of you are not well? Chances are that number will increase from 3 to something higher. Now, what is mental health in itself? Again, according to WHO, it's defined with respect to capacity to cope with life. Your capacity to cope with life. If you are not mentally sound, you probably will find it difficult coping with life scenarios, life situations, and changes that the society brings upon you, changes in civilizations, changes in every sector of the society that you come by. So are you able to cope with that? So if you have issues with mental wellness, then there's going to be a lot of issues in that aspect as well. So mental health is defined in terms of the capacity to cope with life and contribute fruitfully in work and in wider community. All right, so mental wellness, mental health includes emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, how we feel, and how we react and respond to ourselves, how we relate to our colleagues, our friends, in the family, in the community, and everywhere we go, at the workplace, in the school, how we make our choices. What makes us take a decision? What are the things that that helps us to live, and leads us to taking a decision that affects our life, affects our family, affects our career, affects the community? The state of mental health kind of like encompasses all of this. And again, when you bring it into all the financial and social well-being into perspective, then you discover that a whole lot comes into the area of mental health. Like I said, most of us here are youth, and there's a whole lot of worry about what tomorrow holds. What do I do in my career? How do I get the best of career for my life? Most of you are young adults, just married or about to marry, or just with little kids and all of that. When you're single and just all by yourself, probably worry less. But by the time you begin a family, you now have little kids and all of that, you begin to worry about not just yourself alone, about the little kids, about your wife, about your husband, about the future and all of that. So, all of these are functions of mental health which can affect your mental health, and your mental health will also affect the decisions. So it's a vicious cycle. And that's why this topic is very important and very crucial, and we must take cognizance of it and see how we can improve our mental health and improve our relationship with God as well, and with ourselves as well. Now, where is the meeting point between the brain, the mind, and the spirit? We know and we are told that the man is not just a physical person, that there are other components of the man. You have the physical component, which is the biological anatomy, physiology, biology of the man that you know. But then, there are other components, the mind, the spirit. So, how much of that do we know of ourselves? A lot of people will come to me and say, I know myself. I say, you don't know yourself. Because what yourself is will be determined by what circumstances you meet and what eventually comes up. And that's why you see someone in a state today, by the time the circumstances change, the characteristics change, the character changes, and several other things changes about him. And it will look like you never know the person before, because the person never knew himself even before. And that's why even your politicians, you see them fighting for the masses today, and when they get to position of power and authority and money, you discover that everything changes, because they never know themselves in the first place. And this is part of the functions of the mental health that we'll talk about. So where's the meeting point between the brain, the mind, and the spirit? Where like we know, or like we've been told, that God molded us and brought the spirit into us. And there's a mind in between the spirit and the body. So where is that position of the mind? And the brain is just the tool by which all that is transmitted to the physical body. In the Bible, we know of Nebuchadnezzar, we know of Saul, we know of David, and we know all that happened. The extra capacity and extra work they did, simply because there's a spirit that's entered into them and things were made differently. Right? So, where's the meeting point of brain, the mind, and the spirit. What are the exhibits of good mental health? You must have an ability to learn, right? When your brain is growing up, any little mind, as we're growing up, is capable of everything. Just anything. Alright, so that's what we call the potential. The potential in everyone. Alright? So the mechanic, the vulcanizer you see by the road, given another circumstance, it could be a pilot, right? It could be a medical doctor, it could be a surgeon, it could be an astronaut, it could be anything. He must have that capacity to learn. Whatever gave him that ability to learn to be a mechanic or can use the same capacity to something else, right? So these are the things. So ability to learn, ability to feel and relate, to sympathize, to empathize. These are the components of mental health. To be able to cope and manage changes and uncertainty in life, the positive emotions, the negative emotions. If anything happens in a manner that everybody is laughing and someone is just sad, that there's something different about that person. Is that that person is the only one right and every other person wrong, or every other person is wrong, is the only one right? Something like that. So, but there are circumstances by which somebody just feels differently from what everybody feels. All right? So these are the things we need to begin to note when we see it happens a lot in our society. Mental health is one of the biggest health challenge and burden that this generation has, because a lot of things has affected it. The openness of the internet, openness of information and everything. Nothing is hidden anymore. Everything is available at your beck and call. But that doesn't mean it makes a sound mind for you. It could be completely anachronistic to your mental state. What are the types of mental disorders that are common that we know that are available, and especially among the youth? Mood disorders. Depression is one of the major issues that we come by in our society today. In those days, we tend to think that it's not common among the blacks, among the African nations and all that. But like I said, everything has been broken down. You can be here in Nigeria and behaving as you are in Europe or you're in America and things like that. Your lifestyles and everything could just feel like that. So depression is a whole lot present these days than you ever have before. And before you know it, if care is not taken and it's not checked, it changes over goes to the point of suicide. And suicide is actually the end point of depression. The other aspect of the other common disorder of the mental issue is the anxiety disorder. Like I said, we're young fellows, you're worried about this, worried about that. How do you do this? How do you do that? Those are the things that worry us on a daily basis. There are other major other ones. The psychotic disorders. These are the ones that I think all of us worry and care about. The madman on the streets, the one that is restrained, the one that you have to tie down, you have to give medications heavily and all of that, where the psychiatric hospitals have to come in to take care of them and all of that. So those are the major ones. But for this generation, I think one other thing that we should also worry about is substance abuse and addiction, which, as I was coming in, I think I told one of the members that I see a sign of that on this street. I was coming in, I just saw some guys drinking, boozing in the morning and all of that there. So early in the morning, that's what they do. All right, so if you ask me, are they well mentally? Do they need help? Many of the unwell people don't even realize they are unwell. And therefore, they don't even think they need help. For you to realize that you need help, you first must realize that you're not well and that you need help. So when you realize that you're not well and you need help, then you begin to seek help. So when help comes, then you'll be able to embrace the help and make a change in your life. And it comes in a vicious cycle. There are reasons why you go drinking. And once you start, that drinking will also ensure that you come back drinking again. And once that is not enough, you go to something stronger. And they're always there. In those days, there used to, the number of drug tests we used to do, I think about 16 of them is on the panel that we do. If somebody catch somebody with that, the person has lost his job anyway. So, but beyond the 16 components on the panel, there are several other ones that are not on it, that those things will not catch, which is what this generation has become. All right. So drug abuse, alcohol, and all of that is a major challenge, is a major mental issue for this generation. This is a time where something is not working, so I don't know how much time I have left to. So what are the triggers of mental illness? All right. Genetics, we cannot take it out entirely. There are some persons that are genetically to break down mentally under pressure, under certain circumstances. And that's why in certain scenarios you begin to see that in families. You could say that, okay, in the generation of fathers, how do you manage that? Even in the church. All right, so genetics, some persons are actually coded to be able to, the pressure I can take in a workplace, some other persons, by the time they take half of that pressure, they're already broken down, they're already crashed down in their mental state. There is a colleague of mine who wanted his son to read medicine, and he got admission into the medical school. But the pressure of work there was so much that by the second year, this boy broke down mentally and had to be sent from the US back to Nigeria. You can see that the pressure of the work and what he had to do, he couldn't cope with it. All right, so we all break down at a certain point of time or the other under a particular pressure. So how much pressure can I take? How much pressure can you take? Under what circumstances can you thrive more than other people? There are persons that under the pressure, then you see them bouncing. They keep going, they keep going, they keep going. What makes them go? Meanwhile, other persons, a little pressure, they crash down. Yet we're all to face the same challenges of the society. We're all to face challenges of the world. We all want to make our future. We all want to make our life. But we're not equally endowed. We're not equally endowed. Childhood trauma is also one of the triggers. There are quite a number of things that we don't even remember ever happened. Our parents have time to have, if we have, you see time don't go now, I never reach one quarter. So, all those things, when we're growing up, how did it affect us? That now plays back when we become adults. Most of us don't know. Most of us actually don't know. And it's only God that can heal the wound many of us have been inflicted upon when we were younger, when we were small. There are some persons in Nakuboko that train them, right? And there are some persons that never get a beating in their life, all right? And we're going to face the same challenges in life. There are some children that have been so pampered in a way that when they grow up, they can't even face any challenge of life because they've been so pampered in that manner. But then you are all sitting down here, and you all become friends and relate with each other. Then how do you cope? How do you manage that? So mental challenges are enormous in the youth and the church and in the nation at large. Now, in the Nigerian scenario and situation today, everybody is worried about what even becomes of Nigeria. Is it going to stand? Is it going to break? We all talk about the potentials of Nigeria, but how do we get to where we want to be? You see, there are things you worry about consciously. There are things you worry about unconsciously. See, and those are the things that leads to anxiety disorders. There are things that worry you, you don't even know they worry you. There are a lot of people like cancer, and I say, look, this is your problem. I say, no, I don't worry about that. No, that don't bother me at all. I say, it doesn't bother you consciously, but subconsciously, it bothers you a lot. And it's also beginning to manifest one way or the other. And that's what we face in the showing signs. So when you begin to see somebody who worries excessively, watch it. When you begin to see somebody who is paranoid, who doesn't see anything good in anything, just feels so humid and so bad about everything, watch it. When you see somebody who is excessively sad all the time, so worries so much, Nigeria is not good, this is not bad, that person is not good, that person, be careful about that. When you see somebody who's grief, I mean, if you lose somebody here, you're going to feel bad about it, you're going to worry about it, but over time you expect that to wane off so that you get back your life again. But when you see a situation, you lose somebody close, and you never can recover from that, be careful about that. Those are mental things and needs help. When somebody becomes too irritable all of the time, extreme mood changes, you've got to be careful about that. So many things, especially in the youth generation. It could be excessive eating, it could be excessive sleeping. It could actually be not eating at all. You don't want to socialize with anybody, or you just want to use socialization as an escape route. All those things are things we need to take note of and see how we can help such people. All right, like I've said before, the most common of these mental problems, particularly in the youth, is anxiety disorder and depressive disorder. People are anxious and worried about tomorrow, about today, what do I eat, and all of that. But I'm sure Christ has spoke to that in his sojourn on earth, and it's well recorded in the Bible. So the stigmatization in the society as well as in the church doesn't help at all. And it's an area where we need to come in and help when we see the warning signs in anyone. You might be the one to notice it, and even if you point it out, the person might just say, no, I'm not worried, I'm okay. That doesn't mean the person is okay. We've seen people who are extrinsically fine, jovial, and all of that, and end up committing suicide. Because everybody thought they were happy. Everybody thought all is well with them. Everybody thought, okay, this guy is rich. This guy has money. This guy is cool. This guy is connected. He has influence. He has power. He has authority everywhere. But they ended up committing suicide. Because people won't quickly notice that because he appears great to them. He appears he has everything. But internally he's empty. And before you know, you just hear that he committed suicide. And everybody wondered, how did that happen? It happened because nobody noticed the warning signs that are there. Even in the church, even in the community, even among his friends. These are the things we need to take notice of and worry about. With their mental challenges, in the days of Jesus Christ, when he walked on the surface of the earth, and in the days of the apostles? Of course, we know there are. If you go into the Luke 8, 26 to 39, you see the accounts of where Jesus healed the person that is possessed of those that they'll call it evil spirits, right? So that's takes us back to the question I asked: where is the meeting point between the brain, the mind, and the spirit? All right. So, and we're told that Jesus Christ drove out the spirit in that individual, the spirit of madness. So, is there a spirit that is involved? If the spirit is involved, because we are spirit beings, then how do you handle that? How does the church handle that? How does the society handle that? And Jesus must have noted this also when in John 16:33, he said, "In the world you shall have tribulations, but be of good cheer, I've overcome the world." All right. So there will be tribulations in the world, just like you have today. Tomorrow might even be worse than we have today. You never can tell. People talk of peace, but where is the peace? These are the things we need to face and face the challenges and see. I don't know, but Jesus Christ spoke about this much earlier on and said, "Be of good cheer." Are we of good cheer? All right. To be of good cheer is not simply by reading it and just say, "I'm happy, I'm jumping up and down." No. You got to take the words in, personalize it, internalize it, and let the Spirit of God Himself speak it to yourself. And in Matthew 11:28, Jesus said, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." So what does that mean? Come unto me, then I will give you rest. Seek ye first the kingdom, and all this thing that you're jumping up about will follow you. What do we mean? Most people actually don't understand it. They parrot it, they say it, they talk it, but they still go ahead and worry. They still go ahead and run into themselves into troubles and worries and all of that. As human beings, your biological system, your biochemistry in your body plays upon you, and you simply fall for it. Then how do you handle that? Matthew 6 from 25 to 24. Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life. Just telling you that don't worry. That even the birds in the air, they don't do no work. God feeds them. The plants and all that, the flowers, and they bear their fruits and they array in their splendor and all of that, and they don't worry about anything. So why should you worry? You are the epitome of the God's creation, so why should you worry? But how do we understand this? And how do we apply these things into our life? We read them, but how do we understand them? How do we apply them in our life? If we don't understand them and able to apply them in our life, it makes no meaning. We just simply read and parrot it. How does it help us? So we must have the real understanding and be able to apply it. In Philippians 4:6, it says, "Be careful for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, take all things to God." All right, so are we able to do that? So one thing that is important is we must be able to understand and recognize mental issues when they rear up in the family, in the church, in the youth, among our friends, and be able to do something about it quickly. Make assessment and there are parts the church can play. Psychotherapy, for instance, the clerics, the clergy, and do a lot of that. Then there are proportions that has to be handled in the hospital, that the psychologists, the psychiatrists will have to handle. So we must be able to work in partnership and in cooperation for our mental health to go ahead. We talk of financial health. That's a big chunk on its own, on its side. And because you also need that to be whole. You need that to be able to function and be happy and go on in life. So all those are important. For your take home and for you to maintain good mental health, Learn to manage your stress level very well. That's very, very important. If you're not able to manage your stress level, you're going to get to a point you're going to break down mentally soon. And it's of various shades and forms. Live a healthy lifestyle. Diet is important, exercise is important, avoid drugs, alcohol, and those rest of things that can play upon your mental state initially and ruin that later on. Talk to someone, share your mind, share your body, open up. A little advice here and there can help you. Somebody talking with you can lighten your body. And what you think you even fear about might not even exist. It might just be your own perception. It might just be your own perception. And you may just need somebody to point that out to you and say, look, this is not exactly how it is. Most of what things we worry about never happen anyway. Doesn't. So we must know that. You must be able to build your resilience also, to be your ability to face and confront situations that you cannot avoid. If there are things you can avoid, you avoid them. If there are things you need to confront, you confront them to live your life. Otherwise, you just discover that life becomes useless and hopeless for you. You need good interpersonal relationship. That's quite very key. I used to tell people that all that there is in life is relationship. If you have all the world and everything and you're alone in this world, there's nobody to relate with. Tell me, how will you feel? You have all the goals, you have all the money and everything, but you're alone in the world. It's nothing, it's no use. It's when you're able to relate with other people that life makes meaning to you. And we must be able to realize that and build good interpersonal relationships. You don't go to people only because you need something from them. You don't go to people and worry them only because you need something from them. And after that you disappear, you run away. That's not a relationship. You must be able to build relationship. Such persons will going to help you even before you ask when the need arises. But if you only go to them only because you need something from them, you probably succeed the first or second time. The third time, say, that guy is coming again. I know you need something from me. You don't do that. Build relationships up front, strong relationships, and it helps us mentally. And also manage your expectations in life. Some people set so much goals, so much high goals and all of that they cannot achieve. Some don't even set anything at all. We must be able to have some reasonable level of expectations and work at it. Otherwise, life becomes useless as well. We must be able to manage our success and our failures. A lot of times we fail at one thing or the other, but that failure is the pathway to success. Alright, we must be able to understand that and manage that very well. And some also have little success before you know they crash that because they are not able to manage it. All these are mental issues that we need to know and be able to handle very well. We're still very young. The future is great for us, but we must know that as we move on, we must be able to manage our successes and our failures. If you fail at one thing, that doesn't mean the end of the world. It could just simply be a pathway to success. All right, so we must be able to manage that. Then we must practice a whole lot of forgiveness and mind cleansing. All right, that's quite very key to our mental health. Otherwise, we're going to run into trouble. So when Jesus was asked, how many times will I forgive my friend? Is it 7 times? He said, no, not be 7 times. I know time is up, I know. Is it 7 times? He said, no, it's 70 times 7. But how, even if you are offending me every minute, without you amount to 70 times 7. So God is telling you that no matter how many times you are offended, just forgive. Because it's much more beneficial to you than to the other person. So that's quite very key and very important. They say my time is up, so it's not in my fault, so there are still plenty to say. And I believe by the words you have had, if you're able to walk upon that, and asking God, God will make our life beautiful, God will make our life strong, God will make our life successful, and end up in eternity. Our mental health shall not fail, our financial health shall not fail, our social health shall not fail, our physical health shall not fail as well. May God be with you all. Thank you for listening. Amen.